Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Shireen. I am a self-taught DIYer and I am determined to teach you everything that I know. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how I built this really cute and functional scrap wood cart using a lot of the scrap wood that I already had in the garage. The beauty about this project is it's so relaxed, and it should be relaxed for you too. So I don't have measurements. I'm just going to walk you through how I built mine and at what point I made certain decisions to give me the outcome that I have. And I truly believe that if you're trying to build something like that and you follow the same thought process, you're going to come up with something that is functional for you and it's going to be suitable for the space that you have. So if you have a bigger space and a lot of wood to store, feel free to double my measurements or whatever. But if you have a smaller place, like say you have this one corner and you wish there was just something that can contain all your scrap wood in that one corner, you go measure that corner and use that measurement as your guide as you build something like this. I actually spent a decent amount of time to figure out what measurements would work for me and what pieces of wood did I have that I can use to make this project complete, because I definitely didn't want to go buy more wood just to make a cart for the wood that I have. I laid out all the pieces that I had that could possibly work for this build, and I started laying them around and configuring them in the way that I thought might work. The first thing I decided was the base. How big was my base going to be? I made my measurements, and to cut the wood, I just clamped like a long stick of wood to the board, and I used my circular saw to make my cut. This was so much easier than taking out my table saw to make these kind of cuts. I would say my base was about 2 feet by 4 feet long. From there, I drew a line down the middle of my base because I wanted one half of the cart to be like a vertical storage for all the longer pieces of wood that I have. And I wanted the other side of the cart to store like the bigger boards. Like if I had half a piece of 4x8 left over or something, I wanted to be able to store it upright. And with that line that I drew, I wanted to install a long board down the middle. Now, there's many ways you can install a board down the middle. I could have used pocket holes or I could have used brackets, but I didn't have the tools to do any of these. So instead, I used some 2x4s to attach the vertical piece of wood to the base. And that's a really easy way to attach something like this. It's not fancy or anything, but it definitely gets the job done. And it's great for like a first project or something that is not really going to be visible. Like in this case, this cart is going to be full with wood that you can't tell what's attached and what's loose. So I felt like this was a quick and easy solution for me to use here, and instead of buying more tools or more supplies to make the project done. Next, I wanted to work on the side that will have the vertical spots to store like longer pieces of wood. And again, I wanted to use wood that I already had. So I got all the pieces of wood that I thought might be appropriate, and I started playing around with how they would fit, how many dividers can I have based on the wood that I can use, and all the cuts that I would have to make to achieve that look. Once I had all my dividers cut, this was the point I decided, why not make them cute? So I started looking around for something round, and I found this bowl, and I was able to lay it on the wood and draw a half circle in the corner. And then I used my jigsaw to cut that corner off. I had 4 boards total to make that round cut on. And so I clamped 2 together, and I was able to run my jigsaw through 2 of them. And I think this was only possible because I was using MDF, and MDF is a really flexible wood to use on projects. Like the saw usually runs through it pretty easily because it's basically consistent of compressed sawdust. So I was able to cut 2 in one shot and then the other 2 in another shot. And then I just used my sander to sand them off and make sure that all 4 boards are even. Now that I had all 4 planks rounded off evenly, I clamped all 4 planks really well together, and I started marking where my dowels are going to go for the front finish. And I used a drill bit that was slightly bigger than the dowel size to make all the holes. After that, the planks were ready to be installed on the cart, and to make my job just a little bit easier, I started out using wood glue. So I glued the planks in place and kind of let the glue dry for a little bit, and then I went from the back and I screwed them in. Using the glue first is a really good way to make the job easier for you, because if I was to just hold the plank and try to screw it from the back, it would likely move out of place and I would lose that measurements that I did, versus the glue kind of stays in place and allows you that like second hand, if you will. At this point, which I could have done this later, but at this point I decided to flip the cart over and install the caster wheels. I think my son was like pressuring me to put the wheels on, like he loves cars and wheels, and he was just like nagging me to put them on. So I was like, okay, the next opportunity we have to put the wheels on, we will. So we flipped the cart over and we put the wheels on, and he was such a big helper. Oh my God, I love working with him on projects. And I got these wheels from Amazon. I'm gonna link it for you in the description box below, along with any other tools that I used for this project. But I am obsessed with these wheels. They are so good because when they are on break, rest assured the cart is not going anywhere. But yet when they're not, I can move the cart anywhere easily, which is so nice for storing the wood, because when the cart is filled with wood, it's really heavy, and in the event that I need to move it from one place to another, it would be really hard if I didn't have the wheels on. And installing them was a piece of cake. I basically drilled holes to match the bullet size that came with the caster wheels, and I was just feeding them through and tightening the nut. Next, which was my favorite part, was feeding through the dowels in the front of the cart. Those dowels I actually already had. They were like leftover from a craft project that I did like years ago. And yes, they were still sitting in my garage and I wanted to make a use of it. Now you can see here when I'm trying to insert the dowels, they get stuck. And that could be for a number of reasons. Like one, the holes might not be as slightly bigger as I thought. But two, it could be that all 4 holes were not like perfectly aligned. And so when the dowel was being fed through, it kind of like got angled and it got stuck. So a quick fix for that is that I went through with my drill bit and I made the holes just a teeny bit bigger, and the dowels went in so easily after that. Once I had the dowels in the positions that I wanted them, I went in with wood glue and I tried to glue them in place just slightly so that they don't move in and out. And at this point, the cart was really almost done, but there was just one more piece of wood that I had to add to the back side. So if you remember, the back side was supposed to be storing bigger pieces of wood, like half a sheet or a quarter of a sheet. And of course, if I was to just put that on the back side, it would slide right off the cart. So what I did is I used another 2x4 and secured it to the base, so that way when I rest a sheet of wood on it, it doesn't slide off the cart. It's working perfectly fine right now, so I don't think there was more that needed to be done there. And that's it. The scrap wood cart made out of scrap wood was ready to use. To be completely honest with you, when I started this build, I did not think it was going to be as cute as it turned out to be. And it's so freaking functional. I was beyond ready to organize all that wood that was just left on the bottom of my garage. And now it's been months since I did this project and it's holding up great. And it's truly functional. Like every time I need a piece of wood, it's so easy to see, it's so easy to grab, everything is in one place. And same goes for when I need to store a piece of wood. I know exactly where it needs to go and which category it falls under. I'm very happy with this build. I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you did, let me know in the comments below. And if you're building your own and you have any questions about anything at all, let me know in the comments and I promise to get back to you.